Alice and I were watching you all watch the climb from the wings here, and I'm like Mikey Schaefer, the guy on the floor who doesn't want to watch it. And I'm wondering, what is it like for you to watch people watch you climb?
I mean, I do take a certain satisfaction in seeing people squirm. Like watching people like covering their face, kind of like watching through sweaty palms. I'm like, oh. Yeah, no, I think it does justice to Cap that way. Like that's the spirit.
And when you watch the climb yourself, do you remember those feelings? Does it take you back there? Do you say, what the fuck was I thinking? What's your mindset when you watch it all over again?
No, I mean, when I watch the climb, it really does take me. I mean, I think that the film does a remarkable job of capturing the feeling of the actual free solo for me. And certainly the end with the sweeping score, I love the music. I'm sort of a bit of a soundtrack buff to begin with, which actually I got from Peter Crouch, who you met in film. He, for whatever reason, like in his normal life, he listens to movie soundtracks all the time. And I had dinner at his house, and we were like listening to the Batman soundtrack during dinner. Like, this is so epic. Like, this is how you really turn your life up to 11, you know? So I'm pretty into soundtracks anyway, and then Marco Beltrami did kind of an amazing job with this score. And so when I watched the end with the music, I'm like, that is so awesome. And honestly, it really is a lot like the actual experience, because the final 600 feet, basically the cap, are easier than the climbing below it. And so I definitely got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm in there. This is like sprinting to the finish line. I feel amazing. This feels heroic. I was just like, oh, the top pitches, I was like really charging. And so when I watched it, I'm like, it takes me right back for sure.
And where are the pants? Do you keep those? Are they framed somewhere?
Actually, I do still have them. They're not framed. They're pretty haggard. But no, actually, those pants are funny. I was just noting, I just told him like, oh, you should ask about the cutoffs, because they're kind of a random thing, because I was just watching them, and they're I cut them with my freaking kitchen knife because I didn't have any scissors in there. And those pants were because the pants that I had been, so I was wearing the same clothes throughout all my preparation, mostly just for consistency, so I would know exactly how everything would feel every time. I didn't want like, oh, today my pant leg hangs lower on my foot and I can't see my toe in the right way. You know, I wanted to be totally consistent all the time. And so the pants I've been wearing earlier in the season basically fell apart around me. And throughout the season, I've been sort of steadily losing weight because it's just like so much exercise, hiking up the top and rappelling and like toiling all day, every day. So I needed pants that had an internal belt built into them so they would actually stay on. And so those pants for actually, how many of you guys are climbers out of curiosity? Awesome, guys. So I don't know how many of you guys have seen Line Across the Sky, the film that Tommy Caldwell and I climbed in Patagonia, climbed all the traverse. But so those the pants in the solo, same pants as I wore in the traverse. And the thing is, they had internal belts, so I was like, perfect, I can actually keep these on. But they had gaiters built in the bottom, like to keep snow out of your boots. And that's way too hot in Yosemite in the spring, so I just kitchen knifed the bottoms off so that I wouldn't, so I wouldn't have the gaiters, and then I wound up with those abominations. A bit of a random piece of trivia for you intrepid moviegoers.
I mean this totally seriously. Is free soloing easier than rope climbing?
Well, I mean, physically it is actually easier because you just don't have all the extra weight on you. I mean, obviously the process of free soloing a cap is infinitely harder than just going up and climbing it with a rope. But physically, yeah, I mean, of course it's easier. Your rope weighs up to 10 pounds. Your equipment weighs, say, up to another 5 or so, depending on how much you're carrying. You have food and water. So, I mean, if you're climbing with a rope, I mean, you're typically towing, 20, 25 pounds behind you. So when you don't have any of that, over the course of 3,000 feet, it does start to add up. I mean, you are decidedly less fatigued. But then that's kind of balanced by the fact that you don't want to fall and die, so you're holding on really tightly. You're like, ah! So it's a bit of a trade-off, but, yeah, it's hard to say. Overall, it's definitely harder to free solo a cap.
You about secrecy, because it also feels that it's very important that you don't have an audience, that you are not, and you've done a lot of climbs in the past where you don't announce, you just go off and do it. So knowing that that's important to you as a climber and that you don't want to be performing for people on the floor, how do you coordinate with the film crew that obviously has to know a little bit about what your plans are going to be and not tip everybody off that this is the day?
Yeah, I mean, that was a bit of something we had to balance throughout the entire film, through 2 years of filming, obviously the film crew had to know everything, but I was trying, and honestly the bigger thing with secrecy was the fact that they're just normal people on the wall all the time. I mean, you can see in some of the shots when I had a rope and I was rappelling and practicing, there were like 4 other ropes in the frame, and that's because like some random dudes are up there climbing and hauling their bags, and it's just, they're people just climbing the route all the time. Or you see the shot where I'm rappelling over a bunch of people with pink helmets. I was like Team Korea, they were like aiding the solid wall. I was like, oh, cool. And, and the thing is, any serious climber that's up on El Cap that sees me spending day in, day out rappelling with the film crew, it's like, I have a pretty good idea of what's going on. Oh, hey. It's good to see friends in the audience. And so, no, I'm distracted. But basically, anyone on El Cap, and really anybody kind of in the know in Yosemite that season, probably had a pretty good sense of what was going on because, why else is there a film crew following me around? But we sort of intentionally kept it vague, like, oh, we're making a film for Nat Geo, we're just, showing the beauty of the park, like, whatever. Sort of, and I think, honestly, a lot of the core climbing community didn't really want to know. I mean, nobody really asked too much, and nobody publicly posted anything. They kept it all pretty under wraps. And actually, I really respect that, and, appreciated that from the core climbing community in Yosemite, because I think they were all sort of, giving me my space to do my thing, and in a lot of ways, people just didn't want to watch, They're sort of like, oh, do your thing. We don't want to know about it. But, it is extremely unnerving.
When you are starting to work on this film with your directors, Jimmy and Chai, you are not planning on this climb, and you decide in the middle of filming that you're going to do it, right?
No, from the very beginning. When they approached me about doing a feature film, I think, and I've heard them say that when they approached me, they were just sort of looking at the character profile, and they just wanted to make a film with me. But as soon as they approached me about making a film, in my mind, it was always about El Cap. It was the only thing that I really cared about. To me, it was the only climbing objective worthy of a feature film. I was like, if there's going to be a film on a big screen, it better be a freaking big wall. It's got to be the biggest wall.
So when you are having conversations about what they're going to do and the parts of your life they're going to get into, what was the negotiation? How comfortable were you with their cameras, and what were the things that were important to protect with you and with Sanni?
Honestly, there wasn't a whole lot of negotiation. From the beginning, I was just sort of like, I'm committed to making a film with you guys, and we just did what we could. I tried to be as open and as honest as possible. I just sort of lived my life and let them watch. And of course, there were times where I was sick of having the camera around or sort of shut down a little personally, and they would normally sort of pick up on that and then sort of give us our space from time to time to make sure that we don't crack and break their cameras. But overall, they had to put a lot of trust in me that I would make good decisions and not fall to my death while they were filming. And, conversely, I just put a lot of trust in them that they would shoot what they needed to make a good film. And, I think I just sort of turned over 2 years of my life to them, basically, and that's what they created.
And how aware are you of their cameras while you're climbing? There's obviously a couple moments where you actually look into the frame, right? At the boulder problem, you look into the remote camera. Are you able to tune that out, or are you aware that Jimmy's kind of leaning over, there's a drone flying over?
I was able to tune it out for the climbing that I needed to, but then when I turned to them or talked to them or acknowledged, my friends who were filming, it's because I wanted to, basically, because I was happy to see them there, because I was having this beautiful experience and I was happy to share with my friends. You can see in the film that there's real joy when I see a couple of my friends. It's like, oh, yeah, buddy, I was, like this in the film, I was like, I'm one of the best days of my life. And just because the poor camera guys were stressed out of their mind, didn't change my feelings.
2 years ago, you wrote a book, Alone on the Wall. I think that's how you actually met Sanni, is that right?
Yeah, that's true.
When you think about what you wrote in the book about your climbing, about yourself, versus what Jimmy and Chai recorded about you and your life and your climbing, do you think your perspective is different? Did you learn something about yourself that you hadn't learned about yourself in writing your own book?
That's getting profound. I don't know. No, I think there's a lot of personal growth over time, regardless. And obviously, as you see in the film, dating Sanni for a few years hopefully has broadened me a little bit. Maybe slightly better communicator, just a little more caring. I don't know. My relationship with Sanni has definitely helped my personal growth, I think. I'm definitely a slightly different person now than I was when I wrote the book a few years ago. Though actually, it's being republished in on Tuesday. That's 2 days. Yeah, the book's being republished in 2 days, including all the El Cap. It's basically a first-person account of my experience at El Cap and what it was like to climb. Which, honestly, you may as well watch the film because it's just as good and it just has better music.
What has it been like for Sanni to go through this? Because you are a willing participant. This is a movie about your climbing. And yet a lot of how she talks to you and your relationship with her is made public. It's got to be, to my mind, tricky and difficult.
Yeah, no, I mean, the whole process has definitely been much harder for Sanni than it has for me, largely because, like you said, I mean, partially because she just has a lot more feelings than I do in general, but then also because I sort of signed up for this. I mean, they approached me about making a film, and I'm a professional climber, and I was like, this is a great opportunity, let's do this. And Sanni was just like, oh, I'm dating this handsome stranger that I met. And suddenly she's like, oh, geez, there's a camera, and like, that's weird, but I don't know, I mean, yeah, she kind of got thrust into a situation that wasn't necessarily her choice. And then I think every step along the way has been a little bit more challenging for her with, all the filming and then the post-production, now the actual release of the film. I mean, it's definitely been hard for her to see her story just kind of put out to the public in a way that she had no say over and no decision. And I mean, I think she's happy with how the film turned out as well, but it's still just hard to like give your story away for somebody else to use, I don't know, it's never quite her thing.
When you look at what the film has to say about fear in a scientific way, does it change the way that you understand fear yourself?
Not really. I mean, I was interested in doing that fMRI. I was like, oh, this is cool, but really, I mean, I know who I am on the inside. I know how I feel while I'm climbing, and so while it was academically interesting to see the results of the fMRI and see what they thought about my brain, ultimately I was like, I am me. I do my thing. I don't totally care. It was like, you guys can, the science. They can call it whatever they want with my brain, but I'm just like, well, I know that it works fine. I was like, oh, just go do my thing. It works well enough anyway.
It is a Sunday night for a documentary. There was not a single seat left for sale in this theater. Your film just set the 2018 record for the best per screen average of any film released this year. Film Festival documentary, you can very Telluride. When you watch people see the film and when they come up to you and talk about it afterward, what is gratifying to you? Because you probably don't really care about box office. You're probably the only person in this town who doesn't. But what do you find to be rewarding in terms of the conversations and the response that the film is generating?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I went into the whole thing with no particular aim. I wasn't like, oh, I want to create. I was just sort of like, I want to free solo El Cap. And I think that Shine and Jimmy are the people to well document it if anyone's going to. But to me, the most important thing was always to actually free solo El Cap. And beyond that, I was like, oh, I hope they do a good job of telling the story. But I think the part that's really gratifying for me in chatting with audiences and meeting folks is just, what people seem to take from it personally. I feel like everybody sort of finds their own little nugget from the film and hopefully applies it to their life in whatever way. I don't know, I mean, I just know that throughout my life, I've drawn inspiration from tons of sources. I mean, and just within film, you see Peter Croft, Tommy Caldwell, two big heroes of mine that I've drawn a lot of inspiration from in my life. And I don't know, I'm happy to maybe contribute a little bit in that way. Sort of like, oh, if I can put something out there that helps somebody in some way, then that's great.
We have time for a couple of audience questions, but I'm going to ask one last question. When you think about the most dangerous and challenging things that you've done, getting around the boulder problem without a rope, or shopping for furniture for your house? How do you describe the difference?
Shopping for furniture wasn't that dangerous, but it was psychologically more difficult. That's why I pretty much turned it over to Sanni, and she's a kind of wizard on Craigslist.
I'm going to start with a question from a female climber. So is there a woman in the house, right here, who's a climber? Go ahead and stand up and be loud.
Hi. Tommy Caldwell often speaks about how his adversity in his life has shaped him as a climber and kind of pushed him. I was wondering if you faced any obstacles that have done.
The question was, Tommy Caldwell talks a lot about how adversity in his life shaped him as a climber, and is there something similar in your background that has changed how you climb, or made you the climber you are?
I mean, well, so first off, Tommy Caldwell's had more adversity in his life than virtually anybody. I mean, besides being kidnapped by terrorists and besides cutting off his finger, he once told me that one of his first memories that he has is of being blown across an alpine lake, like a frozen lake, because he lives in Estes Park, he's from Estes. And he remembers as a 3-year-old being caught by the wind and just sliding across the frozen lake. And I was like, that's pretty rugged, I'm from suburban Sacramento, and I'm like, oh, I just ride my bicycle to the gym, I have a nice time. It was all pretty. So I definitely have had far less adversity than Tommy. But I don't know, I mean, if I'm being serious, I don't know, my father died when I was 19, and actually both my grandfathers died right around then as well. And so I think that maybe that shaped my opinions a little bit on how on trying to lead my best life, or whatever you want to call it, trying to lead the life that I wanted, being intentional about how I spend my time. Just because, seeing family members die, I was sort of reminded that we all have a limited amount of time, and you got to use it the best you can.
Maybe in the way back, we've got a hand up. Yeah, one of you guys, right there, go ahead.
Arm wrestle for it.
Yeah, go ahead.
I heard that you've gotten into climbing buildings recently. Is there an El Cap of buildings?
That's a good question. I like that. So I wouldn't say that I've gotten into building climbing recently. I'd say that actually as a little kid I was way into it, and I climbed the school by my house all the time. I climbed this church by my house a bunch, and I was totally into it. And then I sort of got out of it again as I got more into rock climbing, because rock climbing is just more accessible. You're less likely to be arrested on a rock. But in general, anytime I legally have the opportunity to climb buildings, I sort of take it, because it's like a rare thing to get to do, and it's pretty fun. It's fun. I mean, it's type of fun. But
so when you look at the Cinerama Dome, you go, my movie's in there, but I really see the building, I'm gonna get on top of it.
Well, that's not even a climb. That's just running up the side. It's like hit it fast enough to run and be fun. No, but so the El Capo buildings is definitely the Burj Khalifa, which is the tallest building in the world right now. It's almost as tall as El Cap, and it's extremely difficult. It actually is very comparable to El Cap's 2,800-foot building or something. And it's probably 513 climbing, and I've scouted it twice for a potential TV thing. And it's really hard. So yeah, I don't know if I'll recommend it.
Maybe down here, yes. Yes, you, the one standing. Go ahead.
I'm just curious, for when you free solo, how do you deal with birds flying out of the wall or any flying objects?
The question was about birds and other things flying out of walls when you're free solo.
Yeah, so I mean, ideally they don't hit me in the head or anything, but basically, while I'm doing all my preparations with a rope, it's the same amount of wildlife activity. So I mean, I'm pretty used to birds coming and going, and there's certain spots in the crack where birds live, so you just see them every time you go by, and you're like, oh hey. And so I mean, yeah, you're just used to it. But also, I mean, they're not predatory birds or anything. I mean, they're not trying to attack me. They're just doing their thing. They're not too threatening.
And speaking of wildlife on the climb, the unicorn guy, do you know if he made it up?
Actually, I actually don't know if he made it up, but he probably did. He probably made it to the top. But I don't know anything about him. I didn't say anything to him. I was just kind of like, good morning, and walked by. he was still in bed. I mean, you can see the shot in the film, actually, that I'm kind of going by him. And then the next shot is him standing outside of bed, but I'd already sort of climbed past. So, I mean, it wasn't until I really saw the film that I was like, oh, dude, he actually had a horn and everything. Like, what the heck? Like, that's freaking weird.
Maybe a couple more. I'll go way, way back with a black hat. Yes.
Have you ever had maybe like, how do you say it, like a transcendental moment or an epiphany or something, I don't know, paranormal or something while you're climbing the wall and you always just focus that there's nothing like that?
No, so I've never really had any, moments of clarity on the wall, or, paranormal activity. I don't know, I mean, so, I have had moments of sort of transcendent beauty and sort of oneness, and on El Cap, I mean, on the actual solo, during a lot of the easy climbing, sort of in the middle, below the monster off with, I spent, several hundred feet feeling like overwhelmingly grateful for some of the partners that I've been climbing with earlier that season, sort of having this like beautiful moment where I'm like, this is so awesome, this is so cool, it's like what an amazing place. So I mean that's kind of similar to what you're describing. It's what some people might consider like a spiritual experience or whatever. But I was just like, I was just feeling grateful, happy, like whatever you're gonna call it. But wait,
Yeah.
this kid over here.
Sure.
For a second.
Go ahead.
What was I feeling when I did the ninja kick? Which I'm definitely going to call it the ninja kick from now on. It's always somebody always calls it the karate kick, but I'm like the ninja kick is like. But basically, I wasn't really thinking anything in particular while I did that. And like in the film, when I'm reading through my notes for part of my preparation, one of them was like autopilot. And the key thing for me on the boulder crawl was to not think about it, was to just get there and then execute. So when I got to the karate kick, or the ninja kick, I just did it. I didn't think about anything. I didn't think about the feet. I just did it exactly how I'd always rehearsed, and it'd be like a gymnast executing a routine or something.
When you say rehearse, is every step planned? Is there any improvising on a climb like that?
Well, so every hard step was planned. Like I was saying, with the moments of gratitude and beauty and everything, a lot of the easy climbing, which is, maybe half the route, I don't need to plan it because I can just sort of count on myself to climb it well. But then all the hard stuff, yeah, I knew exactly what to do. Foot goes here, hand goes there, and just move through. There was just no hesitation.
Okay. Maybe the way, way back. Go ahead.
What song do you listen to get ready for a climb?
Not free falling, I don't think.
That's nice. Like modern rock, like just, I don't know, 2003 alt rock type of stuff. Like big high school, get psyched. Yeah. So,
Go ahead.
well, I don't know, I mean, it's a bit of a longer answer, but so one of the big things with El Capo, so the idea of listening to music and getting psyched and like getting fired up, I mean, that's definitely something that I sort of did as I was younger. It's like, oh, you listen to some loud, angry rock music, you get fired up, and then you do the thing that seems all scary. And that's certainly a strategy that works really well for like dropping in on a scary ski line or like other types of extreme activity. The thing is, overall, it doesn't really work that well for free soloing because, I mean, that went pretty quickly, but it still took 4 hours. So I mean, you can listen to some angry rock, you can get all fired up, and then you can charge, and like 8 minutes later, you're 150 feet off the ground, and you're like, oh no, I ran out of rock, and this is like really scary. And so, the reason I've been practicing for so long is so that I wouldn't need, a big infusion of rock music to get me fired up, so that I would feel totally comfortable as I did it regardless.
I'm going to ask you one last thing, because Alex actually has to drive back to Las Vegas with Sanni tonight. I want to ask you about your foundation, because I know it's really important. Your climbing is important, but your foundation is important. What's your pitch for people who want to support your foundation?
I mean, well, yeah, if anybody's interested in supporting it, honnoldfoundation.org, you can check it out. And more importantly, you can see the partners that we've been supporting and maybe work with them directly, or one of them, Grid Alternatives in particular, you can find them in Southern California and actually do work with them. You can show up and volunteer in installations and go out and help. But yeah, basically my foundation has been supporting solar energy for a more equitable world. It's my attempt to do something positive. I don't know, should I go long form or short form? How tired are you guys?
Go long, make it fit.
Go long. Long form.
What's that?
Go long.
Yeah, long form. So I mean, the foundation came about because, I mean, a couple things, but basically I was doing expeditions abroad, and I sort of realized the amount of need in the world. And then at the same time, my circumstances were improving. I was like making more than I needed. I was living in a car. I had no overhead. I was like, oh, I suddenly, and so I was looking for ways, and I was reading a lot of environmental nonfiction, like really depressing, dark books about climate change. And so those three things kind of came together, and I was like, oh, I need to try to do something to support the environment. And then when I sort of looked into it more, I was like, there's no real point in supporting environmental projects that don't also help people in need. Because I was like, someone living in poverty will cut down the last tree on earth if it means boiling a pot of water to, give their kids clean water. There's no real point in protecting the environment as long as people are still suffering. And so basically I was like, you need to support environmental projects that also help people in need. And so that kind of led me to solar as a way that reduces, carbon emissions, helps human health. I mean, there are tons of benefits to solar, but then it also is helping people, get energy access. And so, everything I'd sort of read and learned, drove me to that, and that's what we've been working on for the last 5 to 6 years.
Alex, thank you so much for sharing your time with us.